We've got an audience of thousands of investors here today that are eager to hear about, your lessons and replicate some of your success with Oaktree. What's the right way to create a market framework to invest in this environment?
When I go on TV, which I do a half a dozen times a year, they always want me to say buy or sell, in or out, risk on, risk off. And I think this is too simplistic. The way I think of it is this. You mentioned thousands of people in the audience. Every investor, everybody in the audience should have a sense for what their normal risk posture should be. It depends on their age, their assets, their income, the relationship between their income and their needs, the number of dependents they have, what their aspirations are, how much they can tolerate risk, what is their intestinal fortitude. There are a lot of things that go into it. But I mean, from 0, which is no risk, to 100, which is complete risk, I think that everybody should have a sense for what's right for them. And that would help them define their normal stance in terms of aggressiveness and defensiveness. And, what is the right balance for you? I always say to people, people come to me for financial advice. I say, which is more important to you, keeping what you have or making more? And they say both. You can't do both with equal emphasis. Every attempt to make more introduces the possibility of not having any more what you have today. So you have to decide the balance between aggressiveness and defensiveness. And then if you're really bold, you can think about varying it over time as the circumstances require. As I mentioned before, Oaktree, we don't get in and out of the market. We don't defer bargain purchases because we think we know what the future is going to hold in terms of market action. But we do vary our aggressiveness. And we've done it a few times in a big way over the course of my career. And
what were those times?
Well, I mean, just to give you some examples, late 04, early 05, we were very worried about the market, so we went defensive. Mm-hmm. Sold a lot of assets, shrunk funds, liquidated funds, raised the bar for new investments. September 08, Lehman Brothers goes bankrupt. Everybody thought the world was going to end and the financial system was going to melt down. We turned extremely aggressive, right. and we invested, I think $650 million a week on average for the next 15 weeks. That's $10 billion in a quarter. And obviously that was a good decision. And then, let's see, 2012, from 2000 to 2012, if you invested in the S&P 500, you made no money. Zero return, as I recall. So I came out with the memo called Deja Vu All Over Again, I think it was called. And I said, back in 79, most of your viewers may not remember, but there was Business Week ran an article, The Death of Equities. And basically what it said is equities have done so badly that nobody will ever buy them, which makes absolutely no sense. If they've done badly, that means they must be cheap and people should buy them. Right. And that was the same condition in 2012. And I wrote Deja Vu All Over Again, and so forth. So the point is, we do vary our degree of aggressiveness and defensiveness. We vary our degree of fundraising, how much money we should have under management. Clearly, when the opportunities are better, we should have more money. When the opportunities are less good, we should have less. And I think that's an important thing that distinguishes Oaktree, is that we're willing to have less when it's appropriate. Today, I'm in a fairly normal posture, except increasing my aggressiveness. I think that the conditions for the bargain hunter, for the lender, for the asset buyer today are better than they have been since the global financial crisis, which ended in 2008. So, right. We've been tough times for the bargain hunter for the last 14 years. I think we're in a better situation today. So I would increase my level of aggressiveness.
Sector-wise, industry focus-wise, where are you potentially seeing opportunities?
You asked sectors and industries. We don't really think that way. In investing, there are two basic approaches. One is called top-down, where you say, well, what's the industry, what's the economy going to do? What are rates going to do? Which sectors of the economy will do best? Which industries will do best? Let's find some companies. That's one way to do it, top down or strategic. The other way to do it is bottom up. What's cheapest today? And that's more opportunistic, less strategic. And really, that's the way we operate. So, when we go out into the marketplace, we just say, what's cheap today? It's kind of like, if you're a shopper and you have a Saturday off, you just say, well, where are the sales? And we like to buy the things that are on markdown.
At our inaugural Iconoclast Summit with Leaidalia last month, we spoke about the changing world order. Howard, do you feel like the deglobalization and market tumult that we're experiencing is a result of the war in Ukraine, central bank policy, zero COVID in China, and it's more of a short-term challenge? Or do you agree with Ray that what we're witnessing is the formation of a new world order that should change the long-term risk-reward profile for investors?
Well, as I've said, the last 14 years were really quite idyllic in the economy and in the market. We had the longest bull market in history, the longest economic recovery in history. We set a lot of records in many ways. Living was easy. Interest rates were low. Companies can get all the money they wanted. There were very few defaults or bankruptcies. Easy times. And I don't believe in forecasts, especially my own. Oaktree, as I mentioned, does not invest according to forecasts. But in general, we think that the living will be a little less easy in the months and years to come. So I think, for us, the big question is it going to be easy times like the last 14 years or more back to normal? I'm not calling for a cataclysm, but I'm just calling for a more normal world where interest rates are higher. It costs more money to borrow. It's not so easy to borrow. Bad companies can't borrow. Bad companies can default. Bad companies can go bankrupt. It's a little more of a struggle. And this is not unusual. This is the norm. The last 14 years have been the unusual time. And so, our long-term look is based on that kind of normalcy. The Fed has been highly stimulative for the last 14 years, kept rates low to keep the economy going. I think it's going to be less stimulative in the period ahead. I don't think it can do it forever.